D2 Word Life with the Alliance's biggest fan, Riptides.
Fuck you, and no, I am not an Alliance fanboy. Unlike this certain little douchebag up here. Yeah. I was Team WWF all the way through.
And of course the reason
Fucking Alliance fanboy.
Of course the reason I say that is because this week we're reviewing the 2001 Survivor Series.
Which at that time was Undertaker's 11th year anniversary with WWE.
Yeah. And for this event, it was well known as the final night where the failed invasion storyline happened.
Yes, it was also the final nail in the coffin of ECW and WCW at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, until ECW got a failed rebranding, and well, we know how that turned out in the future years. It
wasn't really a failure.
It was more
until later years.
It was more like really toned down compared to what it once was.
Yeah.
But that's, a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah.
And of course, this event took place on November 18th, 2001 in Greensboro, North Carolina, with the attendance of 13,142 live fans.
South Carolina, not North.
It says North Carolina on here. It's not South Carolina, what Christian said during his promo. Jeez. It's like, geez, you're a Christian fanboy. I know that. That's why you said that.
No. That's you. That's why you had to correct me, you Christian fanboy.
Jesus Christ.
We all know that you sucked Christian's tailpipe through his entire run through the WWE.
No. Well, you're a fan of his work in AEW right now, being the ultimate douche, so...
No, I was an ultimate douche before he became the ultimate douche.
But anyway, before we get to the main card, shout out to the Sunday Night Heat match, which saw Just Incredible, Lance Storm, and Raven defeat Albert, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Spike Dudley. It is what it is.
Yeah.
The show kicked off proper with Al Snow representing the WWF or WWE, whatever you want to call it, against Alliance member Christian for the European Championship. Christian was the champion going in.
It was still the Federation at that point.
Yeah, but
so it would still be the WWF at that for their final branding as the WWF.
Oh yeah, and before we get into this match, the commentators for this event was Jim Ross and Paul Heyman. And
Walrus!
It's funny, Paul Heyman welcomed everyone to the final WWF pay-per-view. Well, he was kind of half right, because this was the final time Survivor Series was under that brand name.
Yes, but it was also the final time that he was an announcer with them.
Yeah, and then what's ironic is that he wasn't too far off. The final pay-per-view under the WWF branding was Backlash the following year before they had to do the name change. But
the Wildlife Federation controversy shit.
Yep. But anyway, your thoughts on this match between Christian and Snow to open up the show?
We want head. We want head. We want head. We want head.
And I know for a fact you were jealous of Christian's see-through netted freaking shirt he was wearing at this point. You wish you had one of those.
No.
Of course, Christian, this was a freshly healed Christian off of his storyline with Edge, also.
Yeah, and his theme song was, Christian, you're finally on your own.
And Lord knows he was confused where he was. He was saying South Carolina, not North Carolina, like we alluded to at the start.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't really impressed. This was for the European Championship. It felt average at best. Not really.
Well, that was also one of the last few times that we ever saw the European Championship
being defended. It would be retired by the following year. Yeah, and it's funny. I remember a botch that Jim Ross called. He was like, "Oh, Christian hit the Uncourier," when it was actually a reverse DDT in the middle of the match. And then
his last move was he said he hit the Uncourier.
Yeah, Christian won with the Uncourier after a little bit of a combative match, but Christian retains the championship here.
Al Snow should have won.
Oh, come on. You should be happy that your boy won the match.
No, that's your boy, you son of a bitch, you fucking Alliance lover.
You're the fanboy of the Alliance.
Nope.
But
you're the Alliance lover.
But this match actually served as pretty much the official pay-per-view start for Christian being a singles competitor in a heel one at
with
that.
A fucking whack-ass entrance.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of back and forth. It wasn't really that, it wasn't a 5-star classic or anything like that, but it was a decent way to open the show for a match that was made on the Sunday Night Heat prior to the show starting.
It was more like a 3.5-star show.
Of course, talk about short matches, and that was a theme for these matches except for the main event.
Yeah.
But, after the Christian Al Snow match for the European Championship, which was all right for what it was, with the whole storyline going is everyone was paranoid that Austin was freaking turning his back on the Alliance.
Yeah.
Of course, he set them all straight. Quit being paranoid. I ain't fucking changing teams. I ain't going to screw over the Alliance. It's kind of funny how he looked at RVD specifically by saying, quit being paranoid. If you know, you know. Why he said it that way, it kind of made me laugh.
Yes.
As a kid, that joke would go over your head. Nowadays, just like, yeah, that's funny. Right?
Because Austin was the most paranoid of them all.
And then in the back we had Vince and Linda back there. Pretty much Vince saying shit happens. And he was willing to risk it all. And I'm thinking to myself, aren't you the one who booked this shit?
Well, the thing is, he told his wife was telling him, oh, you need to be kind of more compassionate with our son and daughter. And he's like, well, you can't have it both ways. We're either going to win or we're either going to lose.
And then William...
We lose everything.
Yeah, and then at the end of that, William Regal pretty much came up to McMahon and said that he was
No. Your favorite announcer of all time.
Well, Michael Cole started talking and asking him questions. Pretty much saying the same thing. We all know Michael Cole's your boy, and then Regal came up to him, pretty much said he was going to destroy Tajiri. And then see the WWE or WWF lose tonight.
Which, ironically, the night after the first WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, we know.
Had, them kissing his ass.
That's where that goes. Sorry, I was about to allude that at the end of the show, but okay. But anyway, the next match was William Regal, the commissioner of the Alliance at the time, taking on Tajiri with Tori Wilson representing the WWF or WWE, whatever you want to call it. It's confusing. Same company, obviously.
Yes, same company, different brand name.
Yep, and they fought in a one-on-one match, which was really short. We did see a tarantula done by Tajiri in this one. William Regal even had his nose busted. Probably by one of those kicks to the face.
Yeah, and then he fucking cheats again.
Of course, in the short 3-minute match, William Regal powerbombed Tajiri and got a 3 count.
Yeah, and then he freaking attacked Tori Wilson afterwards.
He attacked Tajiri first, and then he attacked Tori Wilson after the match was over.
Yep.
So, yeah, it felt no different than a match you'd see on Raw, but the busted nose kind of helped it a bit. even though that was unintentional.
No, it was totally intentional for Tajiri to do that.
Yep. And then afterwards, we had Test in the back getting oiled up for his championship title for champion versus champion unification match. Looking in the mirror, getting all and complaining to the lady in the back, only for Stacy Keibler to come up to him, started hitting up on him. And
touched his ass.
And I'm thinking to myself, there's a future story for the not too distant future from that point that we'll probably talk about at this channel with those two.
I think it was like a month after when she decided to be his thing or whatever.
But anyway, yeah, and then they did a little and then Edge got interviewed in the back talking about his match with Test, and he goes, instead of hitting the big boot after Test loses, he'll be like, "What was that a boot?"
No. You have to say everyone says that Test and me are similar. We're tall. We have long blonde hair. But the difference between me and Test is that he got dumped by every fucking woman.
Yep.
And you think Test is thinks he's gonna hit me with the big boot? No, all he's gonna say is, "Oh, what was done all a boot."
The only thing Edge was missing was the icing on the cake, and that would have been A at the end of it.
No, he did say A.
They're both Canadian, eh?
No, he did say A because he's like, "Oh, all he's gonna say is what was on all the boot?" A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, which gives.
If people would get offended by that, look at the fucking pay-per-view. It was funny as hell.
And plus, I got a Canadian friend, so I get a pass. Who likes to use maple loop. Who likes to use maple loop. Anyway. But anyway, that brings us to
use vodka and maple loop.
Anyway, that brings us to the next match, which was Intercontinental Champion Test representing the Alliance taking on the WCW United States Champion Edge representing the WWE, whatever. Yep. In a unification match for both the U.S. and Intercontinental Championships.
Yeah.
And up to this point, I feel like this was the most competitive match of the night up to that point.
Yeah. What was back and forth. Edge came out with, of course, at that time, his Rob Zombie theme song.
And Edge was fresh off his tag team with Christian at that point.
Yeah, going into a feud with Test.
And we even seen Test even hit a spear on Edge and almost beat him with that.
Yeah.
At one point, right?
Yeah, but he kept trying to hit his big boot.
Yep. Kept hitting the big boot, then Edge got a spear in, kick out. I think this match ended with a roll-up victory for Edge.
It was a schoolboy because he tried to powerbomb him, and then he just reversed the powerbomb into a pin.
Reversed into a pin, yeah. And then Edge unified both the Intercontinental and U.S. Championships. So your thoughts on that match?
It was a good match.
Speaking of Test, we'll see him a little later in this show.
Yeah.
But we had one unification match. We're going to have another unification match following this one. And of course, I'm talking about the WCW Tag Team Champions, the Dudley Boys, representing the Alliance taking on the WWE World Tag Team Champions. The Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, in a steel cage match for both WCW and WWE World Tag Team titles.
Yep.
And I hate to mistake it, but did you notice during the entrances the ring announcer really flubbed up? It's funny how the ring announcer. It's funny how the ring announcer screwed up. Because when the Dudley Boys came out, he announced them as the WWF Tag Team Champions, and they announced the Hardy Boys as the WCW Tag Team Champions, and they got the graphics wrong.
Yes, but we have to go to the segment first of what was when Trish came out of the WWF locker room after Matt Hardy.
Yeah. That's kind of, Lee and Trish had a little interaction backstage after their little interview. Or a little backstage segment, I should say.
Because Lita was worried about, and this is before Lita became a bitch, but,
Yeah.
she was worried about Matt, and she was asking Jeff if he saw anything that was being weird about him or anything.
Yeah, and the only reason they were doing this is to slowly burn freaking Matt's first heel run, which that was a fail. In the long run, it wasn't until late 2002 that this heel run really kicked off.
Yep.
But anyway, despite the announcer and the graphics being wrong about who held who, it didn't really matter in the long run because the steel cage match for both belts sets of tag belts was great. Your typical cage match, but kind of confused me is like at the start of the match, oh yeah, the competitors had to tag in and out, and then halfway through the ref was like, fuck it, every man for himself.
Yeah.
You usually don't see that in tag team cage matches. They're all legal at once. That kind of confused me.
Well, that was for the ruling change.
Yep. Yeah, and then, of course, the only way to win this match was for both members to escape the cage or by pinfall or submission.
Yeah.
And we seen the cage used as a weapon. Brawling was ensuing between the two teams, and both teams knew each other very well.
Yeah.
And of course, at one point, Stacy Keibler distracted the referee to get the key to the door after Bubba told her to get a table into the ring.
Yeah.
And right when the Dudleys were beaten down, Matt Hardy escaped at this point. And right when Jeff had an opportunity to get out of the cage, everyone was screaming, "Get out of the cage!" Right? But Jeff, being Jeff, seeing Devon on the table, decided to do a swanton from the top of the cage, and Devon moved out of the way and he crashed in a table. Which ended the match. Yep. Which thus ended the match with Jeff getting pinned and the Dudleys unifying both tag team championships.
And Jeff Hardy had to be carried out by stretcher.
So, and I know I left out a bunch of stuff like the attempted 3D on the Matt Hardy through the table, which that backfired. But what's your thoughts on that cage match?
It was good to see them again as a team once in a while, and then to see the Dudley Boys together again.
I mean, yeah, in hindsight, should Jeff freaking have gotten out of the cage for the Hardys to win? Yeah, but I understand why they did the big spot, because it was to further the feud between the Hardy Boys, which no one really asked for at that time. They didn't want a Hardy Boys feud at that time, especially fresh after Edge and Christian broke up.
Yeah.
But Jeff had to be stretchered out. Everyone was looking concerned, and this would lead to that rivalry between Matt and Jeff Hardy at the next pay-per-view, Vengeance 2001.
Yep.
Which we'll probably review at some point going forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then backstage, it showed backstage. We can go back to backstage. There was Scotty 2 Hotty going in the back, getting ready for the Battle Royal, only to be ambushed by Test, who was seen earlier.
Well, Test had asked. Well, Scotty 2 Hotty was getting ready to go to the ring, and then Test asked him. He's like, "Oh, hey, Scotty, you in the Battle Royal?" And he's like, "Yeah, what about it?" And then he freaking attacks him like a little bitch.
Yep, thus entering himself into the Battle Royal.
Yep.
Where the winner would have immunity for 1 year despite which company or team wins the main event.
Yeah.
And the Battle Royal participants were Bradshaw, Farouk, Landstorm, Billy Kidman, DDP, Albert, Taz, Perry Saturn, Raven, Chuck Palumbo, Crash Holly, Justin Credible, Sean Stasiak, Steven Richards, Tommy Dreamer, Hurricane Helms, Spike Dudley, Huge Morris, Chavo Guerrero, and Funaki.
Yep.
And, it's a typical battle royal. You pretty much get what you expect in these kind of battle royals. This wild brawling
Yeah, but
everywhere.
we almost had a Taz and Paul Heyman fight.
Yeah, Taz entered the room or the Battle Royal late in the or a little bit after the bell rang, along with
He
Eve
entered with
Morris.
WWF right after the other superstars came out.
Yeah, and then Hugh Morris and Chavo Guerrero also interfered or got into the match.
Yeah, because they had, I guess, just gotten hired by Mr. McMahon or something. I don't know, but they were fired from the Alliance.
Yeah, and then Paul Heyman was freaking out like, why the hell was Taz out here? Someone eliminate him. And then Jim Ross be like, how about you take your hat off, explode your bald head to the world, and you go in there and eliminate him.
Yeah, and then he ran like a little bitch behind JR.
Yeah, after Taz got eliminated from the match, Taz went out there and Paul Heyman just freaking like pretty much wet himself, yelling and screaming.
Yes. Because Taz would have killed him.
But, you know, it's like DDP was one of the favorites, but it's kind of sad how WWE treated him. He was one of the early guys out of there.
Yeah.
If you ask me, DDP should have been in the main event match, but okay.
Well, there was the Alliance's idea to put him there instead of the main event, which was dumb as hell, so...
Because we know the main event star power DDP had with WCW to begin with.
Yeah, but that was Shane and Stephanie's idea.
Yep, but in the end, Test last eliminated Billy Gunn with a big boot over the rope to win the Battle Royal. So yeah, Test pulling double duty, winning a match, and then also earlier tonight losing a match.
Billy Gunn went for the finisher. Well, the famouser.
And he got Gowdy, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's your typical Battle Royal. Really not much to say except for a little bit of that story with Taz and Paul Heyman. But besides that, nothing really. It's your typical average Battle Royal this was.
You see one Battle Royal, you've seen them all.
Yeah, pretty much. And then their next contest was for the reactivated WWE Women's Championship. Because the previous champion... Six-pack challenge, because the previous champion, China, at that time, left the company, thus vacating the Women's Championship. We'll get into that. We'll get into that story shortly, at another time. But it was Ivory.
She was injured.
Yeah, it was Trish Stratus versus Ivory versus Jazz versus Jacqueline versus Lita versus Molly Holly, or should we say Mighty Molly, in a six-pack challenge for the women's title.
It was Molly Holly at the time.
No, it was Mighty Molly, but we all know it was Molly Holly.
Yeah.
She was still the super sidekick of the Hurricane at that point.
Yeah.
So your thoughts about this six-pack challenge for the women's championship?
It was good. Kind of boring, but good.
I mean, it doesn't match up to what we see today from the women's wrestlers, obviously, but it was better than nothing most of the time that they're given.
Yeah, but if China wasn't injured at that point, it would have kind of been better, because it would have at least had more challengers.
Yeah, but rumor has it that also at that time China got released because she found out about Triple H and Stephanie's real-life affair, and her career went downhill after that. So in the long run, it just wasn't good, right?
Well, there was other extenuating circumstances to that, but she kind of already knew that they were in a relationship.
But yeah. But anyway, in the long run, Trish Stratus won the vacant women's championship in this match when I believe she pinned Ivory. I'm not totally sure, but either way, it was Trish Stratus' first women's championship win out of 7.
Yeah.
It's alright, it is history making for any Trish Stratus fan to go back and watch. So
it was more than what the WWF made them out to be at that point. It was just basically managers or just stand-arounds.
Or eye candy.
Yes.
Yep. So it was alright for what it was. Wasn't too long, it didn't overstay its welcome. But Jazz was dominant as hell at the start of that one, though.
But she was dominant throughout her entire fucking career, so.
Yes, and this was the debut of Jazz in the company, so.
Yeah.
And her herself would go on to become, I believe, a two or three time women's champion throughout your tenure in that company, and for obvious good reasons.
I think she was a 3-time. Well, it was also kind of introducing Jacqueline as well.
Yeah, re-backed into the fold again.
Yeah.
Considering she did work there in 98, I believe. In 99, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that brings us to our final main event of the night. The Survivor Series elimination match. It was Team WWF against your guys' Team Alliance.
No, it was my team, WWF, versus your team, the Alliance. Get it right, you goddamn son of a bitch!
Shit, the only thing that would have made you happier is if Rico was on this card.
Eat shit.
Which you know we'll be reviewing his matches later.
Also, the segment with after the women's match had Mr. McMahon talking to his team, The Undertaker, Big Show, Kane,
The Rock, and
Chris Jericho, and The Rock, saying, if you guys lose, what's gonna become of like Floody Glassy, Andre the Giant, High Chief, Peter Maivia,
and all those guys. And yes, this was the event where Kane was wearing his freaking one attire, but with the colors inverted.
Yeah.
You know, his red suit with the black flame instead of the black suit with the red flame that he usually would have at that point.
Yes.
But anyway, it was Team Alliance, which was WWE Champion Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Hardcore Champion Rob Van Dam, Booker T, and your boy Shane McMahon.
Nope, yours.
And they took on Team WWF, which was The Rock,
Undertaker,
which was The Undertaker,
The Rock,
Chris Jericho, Kane, Big Show, and
Chris Jericho and Kane,
and WCW World Champion The Rock. Yeah, which the WCW Championship at that point would also be known as the World Heavyweight Championship later on.
It was rechristened as the World Heavyweight title.
And they were in a winner-take-all 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match where the losing team would go out of business, thus putting an end to the invasion storyline here.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, so what's your thoughts about this matchup before I go in order of eliminations here?
It was a great match. Good timing for the main event.
About a 45-minute brawl, and it had some good storytelling in it.
Shane McMahon got his ass beat.
Yep. Anyway, the first wrestler eliminated was Big Show. He was eliminated by Shane McMahon.
But this was also the event where it kind of introduced Stone Cold and Booker T's rivalry.
Yeah. Anyway, Big Show got eliminated after being triple teamed. He got eliminated by Shane McMahon after taking 3 finishers.
Yes.
I think he took the angle slam, the frog splash, and Shane McMahon's elbow from the top rope.
Yep.
In the next
and
one,
then just to get even, all the Federation wrestlers, Undertaker, Kane, Chris Jericho, and The Rock, they all hit finishers on Shane McMahon.
Shane McMahon, he got eliminated, I believe, after a rock bottom, tombstone, choke slam, and lion salt.
Yep.
Huh, Shane and Kane fighting each other at a Survivor Series. That doesn't sound familiar at all, does it?
Zap zap.
You know exactly the event I'm talking about that would take place literally 2 years after this for that reference.
Zap zap.
Yep. And of
If you
course,
guys don't know,
zap zap.
go look it up. Zap zap.
Sorry, but the Kane character when he unmasked, a bit insane. That's all I gotta say about that, and we'll review more of that when we get to that feud. At some point, right? Next one eliminated was Kane. He got eliminated by 2 frog splashes by Van Dam.
Yeah.
Which Kane and RV, that's another throwback to a future tag team / rivalry that happened the same year as Kane and Shane.
Yep.
I just look, I'm getting flashbacks of all this. Not to mention Kane's tag team with Big Show that would follow this event in future years.
It was Kane and Rob Van Dam when Kane had his mask
taken
and
off.
then when he lost his mask, that's when the darker side of Kane
came
out.
Yep. Anyway, the next one eliminated after Kane was The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Due to he was dominant until Austin came in and stunned him, and Kurt Angle stole the pin or took the pin, right?
Yep.
Giving the Alliance the advantage here until Booker T was the next one gone by The Rock after a roll up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Hardcore Champion Van Dam was the next one to go. Eliminated by Jericho by pinfall after a freaking powerbomb from the top rope, I think.
Yes, it was a powerbomb.
Yeah, and the next one to go was Kurt Angle by The Rock. I think by submission he tapped out to the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Sharpshooter at Survivor Series. There's nothing familiar about that, huh?
And then the next one after Kurt Angle was Chris Jericho.
Jericho then got eliminated, evening up the score to 1v1.
And then Jericho betrays like a dick.
Then Jericho got all pissed off and betrayed Team WWE by giving The Rock the freaking breakdown, or should we say in the modern era, the skull-crushing finale. For those who don't know, right? I think The Miz pulled it off better, but... And then that nearly cost Team WWE the match, but The Rock kicked out. Then Jericho was going back there to freaking cause more damage to The Rock, only to be stopped by The Undertaker on the rampway.
Yep. He was too scared to do anything because The Undertaker's like, what the fuck are you doing, you fucker? You're causing us our job. You won't go down there and fucking go try to get past me? And he's still fucking back the fuck up.
Because we all know if Jericho tried to hit The Undertaker, that would be a brawl on the rampway. The Undertaker don't mess around.
It'd just be an ass whooping.
And then we got a little mini freaking match between The Rock and Austin, the two faces of the Attitude Era.
Yep.
Which that could have gone either way, including stealing each other's moves. And then Austin got desperate, the referee got knocked out by Nick Patrick the first time when The Rock had a pinfall. Only for Nick Patrick, the crooked referee, to come in. Just for Austin to hit a rock bottom on The Rock, and for another 2 count, Austin got pissed off, attacked the referee after that. And
then grabbed Earl Hebner and put him back there, and then he gets fucking knocked out again.
Yeah, only for Austin to get kicked out, only for Kurt Angle to come out with the championship and nail Austin with it.
No, Austin had the title. He was going to hit The Rock. The Rock used the spine buster and the sharpshooter, and then he got out of that.
Yeah, and then at some point near the end of the match, when Austin looked like he had the match won.
And then after Austin hit his Stone Cold Stunner on The Rock, he was going to do something. He was going to go back for the belt. And then Angle runs out when nails him with the belt.
Thus turning on the Alliance, thus having Austin run into another rock bottom. And The Rock ended up getting the pinfall, and the Team WWF wins. Putting the Alliance and the whole miserable invasion storyline to an end.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and I just want to point out for the record, this was a time period when Kurt Angle had hair. I
Yeah.
feel like I have to point that out. Right?
Not very long though.
Yeah. Just wait till we eventually review the 2002 Judgment Day. That's when he loses his hair. But
Yeah, it was like a year and a couple months after
it was like
that
less than a
event,
year.
or a few months after that, or whatever. I don't remember how long it was.
It was less than a year after this event, but either way.
Yeah, I think it was like. So it was.
It was like about 6 or 7 months later.
Yeah.
But either way, Team The Rock wins Sole Survivor, and the show fades to black with Vince McMahon smiling like a Cheshire cat at the entranceway.
And Stephanie and all the Alliance members crying like little bitches, saying, "No, it's over. We lost everything."
When you were a kid, you were freaking like crying at the time too because you wanted the Alliance to win.
No, I wanted Team WWF to win. That was you that wanted the Alliance, you son of a bitch. Quit trying to cover it up and put it towards me when it was you.
But, you know, the fallout that happened after the Survivor Series, we should touch on a little bit. It was the following night where Vince McMahon started his Kiss My Ass Club with William Regal being the first one. Also, Ric Flair would return. Also, Ric Flair would return to the company after that, the next night.
Well, on the night after Survivor Series, Miss McMahon was making fun of his children, making them come and beat up cars, not their classic limos and shit like they would do later on.
Yep.
And then they said, "Oh, we sold all of our shares to a private individual." And then towards the end of the show, it was Ric Flair that they sold it to. So he became 50% owner of WWE with Vincent McMahon.
Yep.
Until their rivalry when they were fighting for full control.
Yep, and then shortly after that, with the two world title scenes, there would be a little mini four-man tournament at the next pay-per-view to unify the WWE and WCW world title belts. We'll get to that at another time. And also, shortly after Survivor Series, when they were in Oklahoma 2 weeks after this, The Undertaker turned heel, forcing Jim Ross to do the Kiss My Ass Club.
Yeah.
And also shaving his long hair, becoming the Big Evil character.
The biker Big Evil.
In the process, right?
Became a hardcore champion.
Yep. But we'll get to that whenever we review the 2001 Vengeance show.
One of the better hardcore titles. He just beat the shit out of everyone.
You know, it's pretty bad that a month later when Taker became hardcore champion, hence, future show, we'll review that. During his whole run, even though the 24/7 title ruling was for that belt, no one wanted to challenge Taker. Because they were too scared of him. Right?
Yes.
But anyway, that was that. That was the 2001 Survivor Series. Now, we got to get to our freaking star ratings here to end it with. So the Christian Al Snow match, I would give it about, I don't know, 2.5 to 3 stars.
3.5.
I mean, the crowd chanting "We Want Head" kind of helped, but it was kind of like a match you would see on Raw or SmackDown at that point.
Yeah, but it was so funny that the crowd, even though you don't see it nowadays, they were yelling, "We want head! We want head! We want head!"
The Al Snow to Jury match, it was relatively short, but the busted nose helped it out, so I'd give that one about 2 stars. It served its purpose. It served its purpose, right?
1.5.
But the post-match assault at the end, freaking I didn't agree with, but the post-match assault doesn't cloud my judgment for the match itself.
Yeah, no, I still gave it a 1.5.
The Intercontinental and U.S. Championship Unification match, I would give that one about a 4.
Yeah, I'd say 4.
Yeah. At least we're on the same thing in pattern there. The Dudleys and the Hardys steel cage match, I'd give that about 3.5 to 4.
4.
Because, they served what they did, and the Jeff Hardy jumping off the cage at the end did give it some points.
Yeah.
The Battle Royal, it was your typical average Battle Royal. I don't know how fairly you would rate that, but I would just say maybe 2.
I'd say probably 2.5.
Yep. The Women's Six-Pack Challenge match, with the Women's Championship being reactivated. They did what they had at the time. They did their job, so I give it about 3 on average.
3.5.
And of course, the Team WF versus Team Alliance, I'd give that about 5 for all the story.
10.
I'd give it 5 stars, full 5.
Stars.
For all the storytelling they did throughout that whole match with the main eventers.
Yep, which also made rivalries in that match as well for introducing Stone Cold and Booker T's eventual. I think it was the 2 nights or 3 nights after the Raw.
Eventually, we'll review classic Raws and SmackDowns, and I think their little grocery shopping cart, little grocery brawl happened on a SmackDown episode.
It was a SmackDown episode because Stone Cold was talking to Ric Flair, who was owner of SmackDown at that time.
But yeah, that was our thoughts on the Survivor Series 2001 pay-per-view. So, the next pay-per-view we're going to review will actually be a current one. We'll be reviewing the King and Queen of the Ring coming up this weekend at time of recording.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, our time. Whew. It's going to be a great wake-up.
Hey, at least it wasn't like last time where I stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning and watching the fucking pay-per-view.
Why the hell were you up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching the Australian pay-per-view of pay-per-view?
Because I wanted to.
You like to torture yourself watching that Elimination Chamber event. At least it wasn't like that when they were in France. Am I right?
Yes.
But anyway, next classic pay-per-view review we'll be doing, well, I know it's my choice for the next classic pay-per-view review, and you know what's funny? You're just going to have to wait until the end of the King and Queen of review.
He wants to do King of the Ring 1995.
That event can go straight to hell. I'm not reviewing that now. Fuck that.
Yes, he will.
As a matter of fact, the King of the Ring 95 is considered one of the worst pay-per-views ever. I'm actually thinking about doing one of the best pay-per-views ever, and that could be any pay-per-view that's considered great.
Oh, I know which one you're fucking talking about.
So.
You fucking son of a bitch.
Yeah. So anyway, you're just going to have to wait for that reveal at the end of the King and Queen pay-per-view. And that'll be also next week's video, too. So, until then, I will talk to you all later.
You forgot to give it the freaking rating.
Oh, yeah, the final grade for Survivor Series 2001, I would say, is an A.
Fucking forgetting your own shit on the damn channel there, boy.
Yeah, I know. The final grade I give is an A, and that's only because of the strength of the main event.
A+.
Okay, now that I've been corrected, that being said, I will talk to you all in the next one. Peace.